You know, it's like your dream and a lot of dreams, they're just so evocative. But you know, trying to get at them. I just been spending a few minutes on it here. I was having some difficulty. Let's see if I can get it. Not really difficulty, but I mean,
Yeah, I got it in text edit here.
yeah. Here, I'm gonna put it in here in just a second. We got the dogs.
Saving a bird.
Yeah,
Saving a
saving a
bird.
bird. Yeah, I like the title of it because the bird doesn't come in till the end of it. Let's see, I'm gonna put it in the chat here. There's part of it, and let's see. She worked for them in some way. She worked for them in some way. Oh yeah, there it goes. She worked for them in some way. We can kind of get started on it. Gary was going to come too, but he's not been feeling very well, but he had a really good dream too. But anyway, we can get started on this. Let's see. So she's driving down the highway and noticing the construction work being done by the workers. And there was some kind of grout or cement, but they were using it as a layer as you would paint, you know, almost, I don't know, like sometimes they almost like they paint the lines on the thing on the middle of the highway. But grout or cement, I think, is what they're doing, are covering cracks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
For towel
the
work.
yes, exactly. So they're just the psyche is repairing the cracks, you know,
Mm.
in our way, the way that we're going, their psyche sees a lot of defects, cracks, potholes, or whatever. And the way that we're going is not very smooth, say that. And it's not, it's old, it's in need of repair, you know, the way that we're going.
Sounds
So,
like us.
yes, exactly. Yeah, I mean, this, you know, Dawn is somewhat like Charles, and I think like Ivan, just these mysterious dreams. Okay, then well, maybe I got it over here too. I can look at it here, and I don't have to get my face right up against the screen. Let's see. Okay, and then there is a let's see here. I got a lot of dreams in here by now. Ones I've been saved or putting in here. Okay, and then at first I thought it was a pretty blue purple, but then I realized it just looked like that way when the sunlight shines on it. But it's not as pretty when there isn't sunlight shining on it. So when it is connected with the solar masculine light, it has a blue purple. So it's connected with the masculine function somehow. So that what they are repairing the defects in our way, the psyche repairing the defects in our way. When the solar light shines on it, it is illumined by the masculine principle, by blue, and it which would represent sort of the thinking function. And it's also purple, that would represent kind of a red blue. So don't you think purple's red blue? So it's a
Yeah.
combination of the feeling function and the thinking function, combination of eros and logos. So it's sort of the unified center. So when the light of clarity falls on it, it is shines with either the thinking function or a combination of eros and logos. So now that's the first part of the dream, okay? Just the crack situation. Now it is going to be mentioned in the second part because of the woman who works for them. So then we are up in the air. So now you have this too when you were flying through the air. You fly through the air all the time. I do too, and I have that one image where the flying through the air part of myself is dead. I don't know if I've ever shown that picture, but it's I find a dead body floating through the air, and I kind of realize it's my aware self, that's flying through the air. Let me just show that real quick because it's kind of I'm not saying it's good or even relevant. Let's see, we're going to do this dial in. Okay, and then we're going to get rid of, so you can't see two of me. There we go. Okay, all right, now I'm going to just show you this picture because I'm not saying this is relevant, but the fact that you fly through the air, that I fly through the air, and that Dawn flies through the air means a lot of people are flying through the air in their dreams. I mean, their feet don't touch the ground, and that could mean a lot of things, but I just wanted to kind of show you. This is sort of a seminal dream for me. Yeah, now this, I find this dead body floating in the air, and it's, it's the flying self, my flying self, so it's just, there was an aspect there that I had gotten a little more gravity. But anyway, this is unusual for a girl, I think, to have to be flying through the air. Let's look at that again here. Okay. All right. Okay. So she is flying through the air with someone, and they were talking to me about what I do not know. So the dream ego and an unknown person are flying through the air and talking about something. At some point, and this might be what they're talking about, she wants to give gifts to people, but she didn't have enough money to get them what she wanted to get them. So somehow, maybe with her mother's help, she was able to get people some really nice chocolates. Okay, so she's flying through the air, and what she does is trying to, there's an aspect of trying to relate to people and to, to give them gifts, to establish a connection, to bring them closer. And what can I offer this person to make them closer? It's really giving an offering to people. I mean, it's like the gifts of the Magi or something. Why did the four wise men give gifts to the Christ child? See if I can put this in here. We're going to kind of pre-do this for Dawn. Hi, Tim. We're kind of discussing Dawn's dream, even though she isn't here.
All right.
It's, I think I just put it in the chat.
Yep, I see it.
Yeah, okay. Well, the first part was, is that first chapter or first paragraph that she's driving down the highway, but construction workers are putting the way that she's going is covered with cracks, imperfections, potholes, or whatever. Oh, here she is right here. Okay. Oh, darn it. Just a second here. I don't know if my wife is as good at shutting up dogs as I am. Okay. Hi, Dawn. We're just discussing your dream here. I was going to say, Dawn, too, you know that thing you put in about the karate utterances? That is exactly, when Marie Louise von Franz would do that for, 40 pages on one image, like an elephant or something. She would just keep, and you learn a lot by that, because what you're doing is you're circumambulating the image, So that kind of stuff is just wonderful. They have symbol books where you look up things, but the more details you can provide about the dream image, the better. But anyway, we're just talking about your dream here. I don't know. It's very mysterious. Okay. The
Looks
way.
to me like you didn't start with the whole thing.
Oh, I didn't start with the whole thing? All right, let's see here. It starts with the...
I was driving down the highway.
Here. Yeah, I'm driving down the hall. Just a second, I'll get it. Copy. Okay, and then we'll go over here. Page and... Okay. Yeah, Gary keeps threatening to come here. He's got a really good dream about getting a COVID shot, but all right, so she worked for them in some way. Okay, that's the second part. Okay, and there we go. Okay, let's see, here we go. Okay, all right. Okay, so anyway, we're going to, we're first of all, the dream ego is going down the highway. The highway has cracks, and apparently cracks, potholes, and a lot of things in it. The psyche is we see that our way forward. Now this is important because later we're flying through the air, but the way of going forward on the ground is full of cracks and potholes, and grout is what you use to cover cracks, and so the psyche is saying our way forward on the ground needs a lot of repair. It's full of pitfalls and cracks. I mean, that could damage our vehicle as we're going forward, and then there's the aspect of that when light shines on it, it can exhibit two different colors. One is blue, which would be related to the thinking function and to also the masculine principle and to the logos principle. They're not identical, but blueness tends to represent the coolness of rational thinking, okay? And that's in opposition to the redness of the feeling function, which is closer to the blood and closer to the heart. And so purple is really a mixture of the two, and when the sun shines on the protecting, what protects our way forward on the ground, it is lining it with both the logos and eros, in other words, the correcting our way forward is missing both the spiritual principle and the feeling function. So our way forward needs to be smoothed by the feeling function and the uh, spiritual principle. I think that's more important, don't you think, than the thinking function or logos. Who knows the hell what that means? It just means the spiritual aspect, that lifting thing, you know, that provides us buoyancy. But then we find out that, boy, we really have a lot of lifting, you know. Now, that doesn't happen when we're in the shade. So when the sun doesn't shine on, when there's not the clarity of the masculine principle, then there's no luster in the correcting. The thing that corrects the way loses its magical principle when logos isn't around. Okay. All right. Then now we move to the second aspect. We're up in the air with someone, and we're talking to them about something we don't know. And at that point, we're going to make offerings. So we're going to do some ritual act that involves the feeling function. Okay. So we're flying through the air. So we're participating in the spiritual principle. Okay. You know, when we're up in the air, we're in spirit. Okay. Yet at the same time, we know that we need to participate in eros. I mean, that the first part had the intimations that the healing substance possessed both spiritual and feeling qualities. Okay, now we're in the spirit, we're up in the air, and yet while we're there, we're trying to give offerings. So we are doing the rituals of the feeling function. And that was right at the point when Tim came in. I was asking Roy, what was the purpose of the 4 wise men going and giving gifts to the newborn Redeemer of the world? You know, I mean, there's
Where do you
this.
get 4 wise men?
There were 4 wise men. Is that what you're saying? There was one missing.
Oh, tell me about him.
I don't know, but there was. That's the legend, that there was 4 wise men. One was missing. Yeah. So did I say 4?
Yeah.
Okay. There were 3 wise men that showed up. One was missing.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, the one in the unconscious didn't show up.
Yeah.
But anyway, the wise men, the one of the thinking function, are coming to offer the feeling function to the Redeemer, you know. So now we're up in the spirit, and we are in the process. We're talking about with someone we don't know, about something we're talking about something we don't know with somebody we don't know. And what we're doing is trying to make an offering, a feeling function. And it's chocolates, but it doesn't make any difference. But who assisted us was the maternal aspect. Maternal aspect assisted us in participating in the feeling function. Okay. I'm going to get done here real quick and then turn it over to you guys. So, all right. So then you've got this, so there's sort of a link between those two first part and the second part. And then there is another lady who works for the repairers of the highway. She is also up in the air in the spiritual principle. Now, there's another aspect of these towers. Now, I hate to say it, but they might be related to the phallic function, something like these columns. You know, they represent a generative quality. Yet they're very, dry and don't possess a lot of life. You know, and yet in the spiritual realms, we seem to just go in and out of them like we're a chickadee. I don't know if you ever seen a chickadee fly through the woods. It goes like this, you know. It knows exactly how to tumble through the branches. Okay, yet this woman the one who is related to the ground and to the earth is not, and she, first of all, it does not have a natural affinity for flight, for the spiritual principle, which somehow we have. And that's a mystery, which I don't know the answer to. But she needs some help, and yet she cannot navigate the spiritual realm between whatever those columns represent, and she splats right into one. Okay. And she hits it with such intensity that she's just at first she's just a splatter of blood. Okay. So the whatever aspect which below was related to the cracks in the way ahead is not very good at navigating in the spirit. And just first thing she does is just run in to, I think the supporters of spirit are the phallic principle. You know, I don't, you know, I'm grasping for straws here, but I'm just throwing that out there. And then she splats into him, and she's just this feeling function aspect that is on the phallic principle. So maybe feeling and masculine just collided, and it wasn't a good collision. Okay. And so now the dream ego comes to her assistance, even though she at first appeared like she was not even, there was no body. The bird, the spiritual animal, is going to take a healing substance to her mouth. So apparently there was a body. But then the scene changes, and instead of now saving the representative of correcting the way forward that's connected with the earth, we're now having to save the bird, the character of the spirit, you know, and we need to save them. So there was an aspect of both needs saving, and that has something to do with the blue and the purple, and it also has something to do with the spirit and the phallic columns, and also something to do with that one from the down world who can't navigate the spirit. But anyway, it seems to be a dream about earth and spirit, you know, and also masculine and feminine. And anyway, Roy, it is a very elemental dream, I think. What do you think, Roy?
Oh, wow. This is really hard for me. I wonder how she said it was their fault she died. I wonder how she came up with that revelation.
It's the fault of the ground people. Don't you? Isn't that what you're saying, Dawn?
Well, I don't know if they were the same people or not. If they were, the people that were up with the columns would have been like, I don't know, maybe like the head of the company, and then the people below might have been workers. And what was the question you asked me, Roy? It just
Okay.
slipped my mind.
All right.
It was their fault that she died.
Yeah, when she hit the wall, I don't know what I thought. I just felt like it was their fault. Like there was something they were supposed to do and they didn't do it right. Maybe it was with her vehicle, and the vehicle didn't work in a way that it could get her through the columns. It was so maybe that's what it was.
It's just a feeling. I mean, there's no facts. It's just a feeling. It was their fault.
Roy, I just quickly, I thought there meant that she was related to the construction workers. It's the construction workers company that was at fault. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, that's sort of strange that you could figure that out in a dream. Okay. This dream is so hard because it's so different from her other dreams. I don't know how to relate it to her other dreams. Uh, yeah, I'm totally lost on this one.
Yeah. What do you think, Tim? I mean, I was kind of getting a feel for it, but what do you think?
Well, man, it is really elemental and really rich. I'm trying to think of it with a little bit fuzzy thinking, because it seems to me that there's an intent that is moving into the spiritual realm that maybe maybe the process is a little bit threatening to the body. That's one way I'm going with it. That here's this intention to move up into the airy world. But first of all, it takes a vehicle, and then it doesn't really negotiate well, and then it gets frustrated, and so that process is not working well. But the thing that really strikes me about the images, especially toward the end, is I keep thinking of Christ on the cross and the water and blood that comes out of his wound. And to me, there's a real connection there. Don, did you grow up with a Catholic upbringing, or do you have familiarity with that world?
I was brought up Christian, but I didn't learn very much about what Catholicism was until I was older. When I met my husband, he grew up Catholic.
Your husband was Catholic, but you were probably Protestant. Yeah. You can't miss being Catholic, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Well, there's so much reference to Christ on the cross in Western culture that you probably can't grow up without being at least unconsciously familiar with it. And I'm not even sure what the sort of what the catechism says about the difference between the blood and the water, but water is purifying and life-giving, and the blood is the energy, the life energy. Mm-hmm. And so somehow that all has some kind of significance. And it reminds me of the previous dream of how important the blood was in that one. So there's got to be some connection with
those are the two substances. We're either bringing blood, which would be the life essence, or the living water, which, Christ told the woman at the well in Samaria that he could give her the water of life, and the water of life, I think, is is really the unconscious. The blood has to do with the life essence of a living being, and the water has to do with when you're baptized, it's immersed into this accepting medium of the unconscious. Just absolutely never is not representing the unconscious. And this is the living water. Water that what they mean by living is it's conscious. It's full of images. So the water represents the living liquid. I'll tell you, every one of my when I'm doing active imaginations, it's always somebody's pouring water into another vessel, taking one vessel and pouring it in here, pouring it in there, or there's a clear thing of water, and half of it's got dirt in it and it's silty. The other half is clear. You know, it's just always water, water. You know, where blood is more of the living essence. Tim, do you have anything else on it, or?
Well, yeah, the last sentence is particularly reminiscent of Christ on the cross, because some bystander soaks a sponge in vinegar and holds it up to Jesus' mouth, and it's supposed to dull the pain, and he refuses it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost the same language. I had soaked something in water so that it would give nutrients to the bird, which is the same gesture, trying to give something to this figure on the pillar so that it can be nourished, which is kind of like, you know, giving Christ the impervience to pain or suffering or something.
Mm-hmm.
But there's blood in the water.
Yes, blood and the living essence of living beings, the
which
blood.
Again is the blood and water that comes out of the side of Jesus on the cross.
Yes, he's filled with both living water and life essence.
And then whatever it was that she soaked is going up into his mouth, which is where the vinegar sponge was going.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some connection. I don't know.
Yeah, there definitely is something. So if we looked at it in that sort of aspect, I mean, the first aspect is the way of the way of going of the earthly way. Okay, so I would say almost the feminine way, the way of the feminine that's closer to the earth, is full of cracks and mortars, and the only that it's dried out or something in disrepair, and the only way that it can be enlivened is by a blueness, either the spiritual principle or the mixture of the spiritual and the feeling principle is the only way that the way forward on the earth can be renewed, you know, because it's right now in its current status, it's in deep need of renewal. And what renews it is the blueness of spirit, or a combination of spirit and feeling, you know, is what would renew the way of the earth. Yet now we've moved away from the one that is in need of renewal to a higher plane, to the spiritual plane. And we are flying along in the spiritual plane, and we are navigating this masculine realm very well, the spiritual masculine realm very well, which is pretty interesting, Dawn, that the dream ego seems to be navigating. Remember, we didn't navigate very well when we were trying to get out of the pit. You know, we could only go parallel to the earth. We didn't have a rocket ship that could go straight up and then parachute down. We weren't very good at navigating. Here we are good at navigating. And not only that, but through the obstacles. So navigating the spirit, the masculine realm here consists of two aspects. Now, by the way, before you guys came in, I was mentioning to Roy that he flies everywhere too. Isn't that true, Roy? That you fly in your dreams quite a bit. Yeah, he flies in his dreams all the time. And I was just mentioning to him that was me as well. And then I had this one dream, and it's kind of related to that, her need of renewal, is I find the flying part of myself is dead and floating in the air like a balloon, you know. So anyway, the flying aspect of Dawn, which is in contrast to those other two dreams, navigates very, very well. Yet while she's in the spiritual realm, navigating the masculine realm without any problem, what's her concern? What's the dream ego's concern up there? Relatedness, the feeling function. So she's trying to unite the upper realm of spirit and the masculine realm with the lower realm of the feeling function, or not the lower realm, but the relatedness of eros. Okay, giving chocolates, and it's powered or empowered by the maternal aspect. The mother helped us. We couldn't afford it. We didn't have enough psychic energy to provide the feeling function with the offerings that needed to be made. But with the help of the feminine maternal principle, we somehow found the psychic energy to be able to give these gifts of these offerings of feeling function to those we needed to be related with. Okay, that was, so that's what we're doing up there. And we seem to be doing a very good job of it. But suddenly, a crisis occurs. A crisis occurs, and the woman who, there is a woman, a surveyor or something. Now, it's unusual. I don't know. This isn't very fair to say. I guess there's plenty of women surveyors. But anyway, it's a woman who is supposed to, plot out, or anyway, she just works for the construction crew. I think that's what they mean by their, or, them, she's part of the construction crew. Yet this person of the way of being, on the earthly way of being, which is in deep need of renewal, is now flying around in the spiritual principle, in the spiritual, but she's not able to navigate very well. And that's because the lower world needs either that she's not supposed to be here at all, or the lack of renewal of the way of being on the earthly realm is makes her inadequate anywhere. So she's either inadequate naturally in the spiritual realm, or she's inadequate in the spiritual realm because she's inadequate anyway in either realm. So she then, what does she do when she collides into the masculine principle? She leaves the feeling function color, which is blood, the life essence. I think that's the difference, Tim, between blood and water, is the blood is very feminine and the water is very masculine. At least, as far as Christ was concerned, the living water, the water of life, it can be either feminine, so can blood, but at least blood is red and water has clarity. Okay. And masculine logos is clarifying, so
it also makes me think of Jesus turning water into wine.
Yes, he turns the water into a more vegetative substance, ones that's more related to rootedness. So he takes the somewhat non-earthy, clarifying aspect of water and relates it to the Dionysian principle. That's wonderful, Tim. But anyway, so let's just finish when this inadequate principle of the feminine world below collapses against into the masculine world, it sort of just left a red stain. Now, at first we thought there wasn't any body, but apparently there is a body. And the dream ego now is coming to the rescue of this principle, Now, Dawn, this sort of reminds me of Charles' dreams, where you know, he has the 3-year-old mother with the umbilical cord to the plastic baby. You know, there's an aspect of that there's an undeveloped aspect of the feminine. Okay, so the dream ego here is coming to the aid first of the representative of the road on the earth, the way of being that's closer to the earth, and the dream ego first comes to her rescue, but she transforms now into, we need to rescue both. We need to rescue both the feminine within us and the masculine within us. So who needs to come to the aid of the feminine within us and the masculine within us? The only one that can save either is the dream ego. Now, if you listen to alchemical tracks, that's what the unconscious tells the alchemist. You know, help pull me up out of the mire, you know, and bring me to Marie-Louise France says that the lower world longs for the light. It longs for the light. It longs for the attention of ego. So the feminine principle within us and the masculine principle within us are both in need of the attention of our ego awareness. Now, that doesn't mean the ego awareness is going to save them. The feminine principle and the masculine principle are going to save us. But the only way it can save us is for us to have a relationship with it, with both the feminine principle and with a growing relationship, one that is gradually just becomes stronger and stronger. So the aspect is that the dream ego needs to have a relationship with both the feminine within us, which is in need of, is injured and in need of rescue. And the masculine principle within us is a little bit less clear, because we were just going through the spiritual realm through the columns without any problem. Yet suddenly a surprise comes to us. The bird of the masculine principle also needs our help. Now, that is sort of just, I don't know, you know, it's, what do you think, Dawn? I mean, all I'm saying is that to me is kind of the way I'm thinking is the difference between bringing water and blood to the woman who is the surveyor of the construction workers on the way of being near the earth, needs our assistance. But when we start to give her our assistance, suddenly it's not her anymore, it's the bird. Maybe it was the bird all along. And the word, and what's the title of the dream? Saving the bird.
You just made me realize that if she was the bird, she needed a vehicle to be up there. What kind of bird can't fly?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, maybe she represents a bird that can't fly, you know. So she was sort of in disguise, maybe. I mean, the idea was that it appeared that the feminine principle needed rescue, but actually it was the masculine principle. But I would say in that either way, I think, which would you say is Roy, what would you say is more in need of some type of renewal, the feminine or the masculine? Do you have any feel for that, or?
Well, I'll just all of a sudden have a different take on interpretation.
Good. Well, go ahead.
Oh, okay. When the woman hit the column, it reminds me when Jung says where they were smashed on the rocks. You know, you got to find where the patient was smashed upon the rocks. Then the therapy begins. The woman was smashed upon the columns. Then the therapy begins. Before that, it was frosting, like frosting on a cake. This grout is like frosting on the cake. You know, we can't see the cake, but where the woman was smashed on the column, that's the same as Jung saying where they was smashed upon the rock. Then the healing can begin. So the dream ego is starting to heal the spirit of the woman that was smashed on the column. The therapy can begin, the healing can begin.
Well, there's an aspect of us that was smashed upon the columns too.
Well, everybody, but we don't remember.
Well, I mean, there's an aspect of Dawn that was smashed upon the columns too, I think. And
well, that's what I'm saying.
Right, exactly.
It's for everybody, but that's just a metaphor for Dawn. The woman supervisor is just one of her egos that she's separated from, but it exists. You know, it exists somewhere in the unconscious. And when she's passed out dreaming, you know, it's this woman supervisor. Yeah, and now Dawn's getting involved healing her, but she's really healing herself.
Yeah, as long as we're just going along without any problems, there's no need to address a dire situation. But once we smash upon the rocks, we don't have a choice. You know, now we have to face up to what should have been faced up to a lot earlier. Tim, do you have anything to say on either one of those levels? I mean, what do you see this kind of quick transformation between the feminine and the masculine and back and forth, you know, and the feeling function and the logos function and the woman that turns into a bird?
Well, I always tend to, you know, at this point in my own dreaming, I tend to go into dialogue. And all of these elements are part of Dawn's unconscious. And it seems like there's some real capacity there, like this ability to negotiate between the columns, I think is pretty remarkable. There's some development there that is really sophisticated. And there's another kind of development that needs help and is not doing very well. And I can't put words to what that is in Dawn's unconscious, but it would be interesting to do a dialogue and say, okay, what does it feel like is happening, or what needs to be transformed, or what's being ignored? You know, where is that water of life? Where is the sacred, the sacrament that is the blood? I would just try to develop that somehow in writing or poetry or something like that.
Well, that's what's very beautiful about this dream. And when you were talking about that, Tim, even before you were talking about it, I feel within me every thing is alive. There's an aspect in me about this dream that and as you were talking, I said to myself, that's what is percolating inside of me is about 10 or 15 unanswered questions. that this dream leaves open. Okay. There are many unanswered questions in this dream. But what we can do is we can state the questions. Okay. So what we really need to do is formulate the questions and then do the dialogue, to answer the question. I think the best thing the ego can do is ask questions. Doesn't give answers very well, but it can it can ask questions. And I tell you, whenever I'm lost in an active imagination, I just start asking questions. Because I always get an answer. And if you do it properly, you get a pretty darn good answer. I mean, in other words, you set the army boots outside the door. You assume the consciousness of the other person. You try to visualize yourself in front of you as you're talking, and then you answer the question, and you get really good questions. But let's just ask. We'll quickly just list some of the unanswered questions here. Okay. What needs to be renewed in the highway? What does the blue mean? What does the purple mean? What does it mean that the blue and the purple only appear when sunlight shows on it? What does it mean that we are now flying in the air? What does that mean? How did we go from driving on the highway to suddenly flying in the air? Who's the person that's with us? Who are the people that we need to give gifts to? Why did that come up? And why when we're up in the air? Let's say you were up in the air, flying around, Roy, up in the air. Would you be trying to figure out who you want to give gifts to?
Propitiating.
Yes, propitiating.
That's what she's doing.
Yes. So there are aspects of you in the that is wonderful, Roy. Wonderful. There are aspects of us in the lower realms that once we move into the spiritual realm, we get a intimation of what needs to be propitiated in our lives. Okay, so what propitiating means is there's been aspects of our life that have been either neglected or offended, and they need to we need to give them an offering to try to mend the fault. Now, see, that's what the construction workers are doing. They're propitiating. They're mending the fault. So that was wonderful, Roy. Don't you think this is a dream of propitiation?
Well, I interpret propitiating as a fear. Mm-hmm. It's a protection from fear. Mm-hmm. And the reason it was the supervisor, it wasn't her fault. It wasn't Don's fault. You didn't do anything wrong, Don. You didn't do anything wrong. And you don't need to propitiate. You didn't do anything wrong. You just had just like everybody else, life isn't fair. And some things are wrong. It's not our fault.
Well, usually it means, I mean, the thing I'm talking about, or the things I normally mention, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with you, what you said, Roy, because it's perfectly correct. But in mythic, it means to, like when these people are adrift at sea, they found out that they had offended a god, and they needed to propitiate that god by giving them an offering.
Yeah, so, look what Don wrote. her last statement.
Yeah, okay, let me look here. Charles just stopped in. Okay. Tim, did you have any dreams tonight? Let's see. Hey, Charles. I'm trying to get this.
Well, I've got some stuff, but I have another meeting here in
Okay, that's
a few
fine.
minutes.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's well, you go whenever you got to go. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. But do you have any final comments on it before you go?
And I'm just really intrigued. I think it's so rich, and
Yes.
it'll take some thinking about. But
Yeah.
thanks for sharing that, Don. I really like it.
Yeah. Well, and your idea of the unanswered questions is very good. Thank you, Tim. So, Tim's a very busy guy. I know that. Okay. Thank you, Tim. Hi, Charles. Okay.
Hey, it's fine.
Yeah. Let me just read what Dawn just said here. Okay. Let's see. Dawn says, this is sounding correct now. The dream ended before I got back to see if the bird came back to life. Oh, the bird is coming back to life. In my dreams, floating or going up isn't the hard part, but I'm scared of going back down. Sometimes I can't go down, and I'm stuck up in the air. Roy, do you have any problem coming down or?
No,
No.
I'm
Okay,
not
you can just
scared of
come down.
going down. I don't have any fear of going down.
Yeah, well, it isn't a fear. I just can't go down. I'm
Yeah, I
just
can
so
go
buoyant.
down. I can't get good height sometimes. I fly at a low altitude. I'm kind of heavy.
Well, yeah, like
I have trouble getting good altitude.
one of the most delightful things I do is I take one step and then I'll float for about 100 yards. And I just think that's so delightful. And then I take it, and I always looking around to see if anybody sees what I'm doing because it's so fun, but in my dreams, floating or going up isn't the hard part, but I can be scared of going back down. That's so important. I love that, Roy, because I couldn't take blame for something that doesn't belong to me. Yeah. But anyway, this is a very, hi, Charles. We're just going over Dawn's dream. I think we emailed it.
Yeah, people tend to have guilt and shame that doesn't belong to them. It's very common.
Yeah, and that is something, Dawn, too, that I think that sometimes when we go to the dog park at night, I go to the dog park every night. There are some dogs that they don't have good doggy energy, and so since they're not holding their position, the other dogs sense that, and their prey mode or their predator mode, because that aspect of them suddenly becomes almost like a prey animal, and then all the other dogs gang up on that one poor little dog because they just aren't holding their position a little bit, but so it's just good doggy energy to hold your position,
Yeah.
a little bit, but and I think that is one thing, Dawn, that you have nothing to apologize for to anybody. I mean, nobody. I mean, I'll tell you one thing. I always tell my wife this, and I tell her I wasn't born with. I mean, I didn't learn this. It was just something I was born with. Is he who understands everything forgives everything. I mean, there's just an aspect of if you have a certain, let's say that your rocket did go out of the pit, and then you would have perspective, but down in the pit, sometimes you don't have, or we don't, not just you, but we don't have perspective that we have when we can reach the higher point. And I think that flying in the air aspect. What did you say about flying in the air? Let me see here. let's see. Didn't you say something about, oh, in my dreams, floating or going up isn't the hard part, but I can be. So there's an aspect of you that's very spiritual, Dawn. I mean, when you can go up in the air, that's a very spiritual part. But now let me mention, we're going to talk about the puer aeternus and pretty soon, next week, actually. And again, the problem of the puer is that they can't bring the magic of their youth into the adult world. So what they tend to do is they can go up, but they can't come down, you know. So they become Peter Pan, you know. They just float around in the upper world, but they lack substance. Jung said that they become like remember that their seeds lodge in a thick area of the air and can never get roots, you know, so they don't really sprout roots. But we need both roots and spirit, you know, and how you get that is not is not easy to answer, you know. It really isn't. Well, I was hoping Gary would come. I had a good COVID dream by Gary. Why don't I just read it? And then, Charles, if you have a dream, we can go over your dream.
Yeah, I was going to see if I could introduce the dream real quick because it involves a hamster and
Yes,
my
go
car.
Okay,
So,
go right ahead.
Yeah, it's got both the
And
hamster
we'll
and
save
the
Gary's
car
dream
in
for
it.
whenever he comes. He hasn't been feeling very well. I got my first COVID shot Monday, and I had a really bad day yesterday. But today I'm feeling great. Okay, yeah, go ahead, Charles. Did you have it written down or not?
I don't have it written down.
That's fine.
But let me explain it real quick. So it's very short, actually. So I was just sitting on what seemed to be the porch of my mom's apartment. So it's in the back. And I'm just sitting there, I think maybe tying my shoes, getting ready to go somewhere. And just in the distance, maybe 50 feet or so, there's a very large, tall brick building. And my car is parked quite close to it, just a stone's throw away. And it seems like some bricks come loose and some like debris like falls from the building and like kind of messes up my car a little bit. And I'm like, whoa, this like, and it looked like there's a really large air conditioner unit that was attached to the building that looked like it was coming loose. And but it's all black. And I remember there being like a compressor, what it seemed to be like a compressor. It was like this giant black hunk of metal. And it's coming loose and bricks are falling down. And I'm like, well, this is kind of wild. I need to move my car, I guess. And then next thing I know, I just kind of look away. And the next thing I know, the whole thing just comes crashing down.
The whole AC unit?
Yeah, the whole AC unit just falls from like at least 50 feet. It comes crashing down in the parking lot. And I guess my car had, it's as if my car had already been moved to avoid it, yet my car still got really messed up from it. Everything behind the passenger seat was pretty much just gone. So it looked like one of those trucks that just have like where the pickup bed would be. It's just like the frame of the car, basically. And that's how my car looked. And the back driver's side wheel was all just jacked up. And I remember being like, oh man, I really need to talk to my mechanic and see if he can do me a favor because my car is really not looking good. And it was just kind of startling to see this huge thing crash down from this building, and it was all just kind of crazy. And I go inside and my hamster is in his cage and had somehow been affected by all of this. And my hamster was way bigger than he normally should be, and he was all like bloody and like just like, you know, just, I'm dying, like just in horrible distress. And just what you could, I mean, I could just see just the pain he was going through. And, you know, I was really shocked and upset by this. But and another random detail is it seemed that a bunch of his bedding was missing. Like, he only had a little bit of bedding in his cage, and someone seemed to have tried to replace a bunch of it with Raisin Bran. And yeah, and that's the dream.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get going on this. So anyway, now we've had many dreams about the car being gutted, you know, and et cetera, et cetera. The one about the Ferrari, and so the car is very important to us. But here, the car and the hamster are the same thing. And, you know, Roy, you keep mentioning the hamster boat, but here we have the car, the hamster boat, you know, they're all kind of related. And so anyway, we're next to a building, and our vehicle is next to, again, kind of some kind of a tower, you know, and so it's sort of like a masculine tower again. How big was this building? Is it several stories?
It was pretty tall. I think
5 stories.
It could, yeah, it was at least 5 or 6 stories. It was pretty tall.
So it's a column-like building, you know, and our car is parked next to the column-like building, which again, I think is really representative in some of your dreams of the masculine world. You know, this is not a feminine building. It's one that goes way high up into the spiritual realms. And it's crumbling just like the Black Tower was in your other dream. And the crumbling of the Black Tower threatens ego, okay? Threatens ego, which is represented by the car, threatens the hamster, which appears to be our feminine, our, you know, related to the anima because of the dream where it turns into the raccoon star and the star turns into the woman, you know. So the crumble, or let's say the disordered or sort of neglected, you know, it's a neglected, it was neglected at tower in the last dream. It's a neglected building in this thing. It's crumbling and falling apart. And why it's neglected? It's neglected by our ego attention. And yet it's still because ego is not providing the attention that could make it less neglected. It's crumbling because of that, threatens ego itself, you know? And it starts to fall on, and then there's this great big black hunk of metal. Now it doesn't matter what it is, but it's sort of represents like the Black Tower, but it's when it falls, it destroys the back half of ego. The unconscious aspect of us is somewhat obliterated. I don't know, you know, but at least it's our back half, the half that's the passenger side back, you know, is wrecked. And this so then let's see. Sorry. All right. Okay. So then you need it's startling to see. Okay, now after that, what you go back into the house and you see the hamster, right?
Yeah.
And the hamster seems to have participated in this whole drama. So the crumbling of the let's say we're not connected very well to the father world, okay? And the ego is threatened by our lack of relationship to the father world, and it's the debris of of the crumbling father world threatens ego itself. Okay. But and then we go into the house and we see the hamster, which seems to be represent our life force or something. So our life force is also has participated in this crumbling of the father world, which threatened the ego vehicle, is now being replicated in the death throes of our life force. So we're sitting there watching our life force, um, you know, our libido, our energy, that aspect of. I know you said lately sometimes that you don't have. There's days where you don't even want to get out of bed. Is it? Am I? Can you state that a little better?
I mean, yeah, recently there have been days where I'm really just not even motivated to get out of bed and do anything at all.
Yeah, and we're hoping going to, out into nature is going to help that. But anyway, that part of our life force is has experienced the same damage that the ego vehicle experienced, and is now in sort of its death throes. And then you just are watching as a bystander. You don't offer any assistance, do you?
No, I didn't. It didn't happen long enough for me to really,
to really react,
to do much. I was just kind of in shock, just looking at him.
Okay. Yeah. Then we notice that its bedding is been replaced by raisin bran. Okay, not an appropriate bedding. It's but it does represent some type of a. Now I don't know what it would represent here, but let's not even talk about what it represents here. But what does it represent in general? It represents a bran, so that would be kind of a wheat, and the fruit of grapes. So it's like a Dionysian aspect of the grape world. The world of grapes is related to nature, to Pan. It sort of reminds me of Yule Gibbons. Grape. You guys don't remember Yule.
That's grape nuts.
Yeah, grape nuts. It's this guy who would go around and find edible fruits and plants and stuff. But anyway, it's just related to the nature world. So let me just sum it up one more, and because I'm leaving it so many open ends. Okay, the father world is crumbling. It damages the inferior function or the unconscious aspect of our ego vehicle. Yet the ego vehicle, then even though the building is crumbled and the whole father realm crumbled, our ego vehicle's over here, but it's half of it's been smashed, or half of it's missing. Then we go inside. The hamster in the ego vehicle have been identified as identical, and the hamster is in its death throes, and it says, "I'm dying, I'm dying." Why is it dying? Because of the father world is dying in us. Because the father world is dying, the ego's dying. Because the father world is dying, the life force is dying. And then somehow, I think the raisin bran aspect, I don't know, it doesn't seem to be a redeeming thing, but it doesn't seem to be. It seems to be the poor substitute for the bedding. I mean, I don't know exactly what that means yet. What do you think, Roy?
I'm just getting more the hamster boats under siege stuff. It seems like a theme. It's pretty common here.
Yeah. But what's interesting about this dream and about the previous dream of where you had almost the altar of the feminine, which was rich and luxurious, and it's probably closer related to the Raisin Brand than the Black Tower is, you know. And so what do you think of this, Charles? Just answer what you think about this. One of the reasons what the problem is, what threatens ego and what threatens the life force is the lack of connection, or the lack of a robust connection with the realm of the Father. And because the realm of the Father world is just crumbling, the ego is threatened, and so is the life force. What do you think about this now? Rather than the life force being threatened by the lack of the feminine, by some problem with the feminine, it says that the life force and the ego are being threatened by the crumbling of the tower.
Yeah, you know, I definitely see the connection between this kind of tower and the one in the other dream, because like I said, the air conditioning unit is black.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like the tower of the black polished stone. And you know, I feel like there's something about the falling of it, though, that we haven't figured out yet.
Yeah,
you know?
the falling of the black. Okay, what would the air conditioner unit represent in a building? It's the aspect of the that moves air. Okay, it's the spiritual. It's the dynamo of the spiritual principle. Okay, it's the thing that moves air. You know, it's an air conditioner. It's something that moves air and keeps it cool, like rational thinking or logos. So, and that thing that is the dynamo of the pneumatic world is falling because it's not working. And it keeps you comfortable. It keeps a balance. Okay, see what comfortable means is there's a balance, you know, and the so the pneumatic principle that's on the tower is collapsing. And why is it collapsing? It's not working. So the dynamo of the spiritual principle, the energy engine, a spirit, is on the tower is collapsing, you know, and it's falling, and it threatens ego, and by threatening ego, it threatens our life principle at the same time.
Well, it makes me think of and I just read Edinger say that, like, a falling can be a symbol of coagulation, and that, like, you gave some examples of people that had, like, dreams of, like, falling boulders that would, like, fall near them and stuff. Just kind of just makes me think of that, you know, I don't know, something's
dissolve and coagulate.
Right. That, yeah, something's coming into my life. Something's coming crashing down into my life.
You're hitting gold here, Charles. Go ahead. Keep going, though.
That it's sort of, you know, I'm not 100% ready to say that the hamster and the car are like the same thing, but they could be intimately linked to each other. And yeah, I mean, you know, I had another dream the other night where I was trying to find my car, and it seemed as if someone kind of cut it up and like took all the body panels and like plastered it onto their van. And I'm like, that's my car. Like, you like, this is clearly my car. And there's, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And I had to go on and keep searching the parking lot for my car. And I'm just like in despair. It's like, where is it? Where is it? Like, I'm never going to find it. And I don't know. I think we've definitely made some progress on kind of what the car means, but then having it linked to the hamster is like,
It's the first time that happened.
yeah. And
I mean, what injured the hamster?
right. Well, it like it has to, they have to be almost either the same thing or so intimately linked, because the hamster wasn't outside. It wasn't near the building at all. Like the only thing that got damaged was the car, but yet the hamster's just magically like wounded, you know, like really. And I think that's a good word. Like it's magically wounded.
Magically wounded, like the car was.
Right.
Okay, well, let's talk about the one thing you brought up about the coagulation, okay? Dissolve and coagulate, okay? One of the aspects of yourself that, you know, needs, has come up before is that you're too abstract and you need to coagulate. You're too rarefied and you need to coagulate. So your rarefied aspect is crumbling, you know. So maybe the tower in both dreams and the car and the hamster are all related. I mean, the fact that your tower is crumbling, that means that the overly abstractness of your say your the main item of your awareness is overly abstract, and it needs to come down to earth. And if that means, and it's threatening ego, but I mean, the aspect of it, it is coagulating, you know, that rarefied air thing that was up above is collapsing down to the earth, and maybe it needs to collapse down to the earth. That's the only way anything's going to heal, is you've got to get up out of that abstractness. That abstractness needs to fall down to the earth. So the air conditioner unit could represent your airy-fairy philosophy, let's say, you know, your two non-realistic aspects of your what ego is linking with meaning right now is too rarefied for this life. What do you think, Roy? What about that?
Oh yeah, you're right on, Craig. I like what you're saying, and that's a good symbol for the air conditioner unit. And of course, it's related to the hamster, which is sort of a world in itself, hidden from the real world. And that's the link. The rarefied is not linked enough to the real world.
Yeah, the hamster seems to be only visible to you, Charles. So what Roy just was saying is very interesting. It's a world within a world. You know, you can look in, and if you want to see, you know, like what I do is I throw an I Ching if I want to see what's going on in my personal inner world. I throw an I Ching. What you need to do to see what's going on in your personal inner world is to see how the hamster's doing. You know, and the hamster is when do you know when this dream was, Charles? Last night or
2 nights ago, I believe.
2 nights ago.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm just thinking that I can't wait till May comes. I would like to see how your dreams change. After you spend a week at Priest Lake in Idaho, or even in Maine. you know. I mean, don't you think, I mean, Roy, when I heard this, I was just absolutely, it was like a door opening where there was no door before. I mean, I just think this is a, is a gift from God. I don't know. Maybe it's not going to turn out very well. But I mean, getting out of St. Louis and going to Priest Lake in Idaho can't hurt.
I made another connection in the stream that I don't know how I didn't make it before, but the air conditioning unit was like way bigger than it should have been. I mean, it was huge, just like how the hamster was like
Overemphasized.
Yeah. So
it's too big for the tower.
Yeah, and the hamster's too big for the cage.
The hamster's too big for the cage. Yeah. Okay. In both cases, there's been an inflation. Okay. And inflation, you know, means that a balloon gets too big and it's going to burst, you know, and both the hamster and the abstract thing that needs to coagulate is too big for our is too important in our awareness. It needs to be come down to earth, and it needs to be, the balloon needs to be popped a little bit, you know. So anyway, I think that's pretty good. Roy, did you have any more dreams that you want to go over?
I can't remember enough of the dreams that I've had lately. Last night I was a janitor in a big high school, and I was kind of flying around in the halls, but I had flippers on like I was swimming. And I had it sort of going pretty good. You know, I had some people that would work to help me keep the school clean. It was a lot of work, but it was things were going pretty smooth. It was just sort of weird going up and down the halls with flippers on, kind of floating through the halls.
Yeah.
So I didn't even write that one down. I mean,
okay, well, that's a pretty good start.
Yeah, really.
Okay, well, you're in the place of learning, and you're a maintenance worker in the place of your own learning, you know, and you are flying through the hallways, but you're using flippers like you would use in the unconscious. So you're using a way of navigating in the unconscious to move through the place of spirit and learning. So you're sort of combining the realm of the unconscious, flippers, the spiritual realm, and the place of learning, you know, are all being connected together. And you're the maintenance man there. And yet there's other aspects in that world that are helping you maintain that world. But it is, let me just do one more stab at this, and I want to hear what Charles has to say. Okay,
Yeah, I remember, yeah, there was this one student there. He had really strong thighs. Like I could tell he'd really been working on his thighs, and he went into the gym or something. And so I felt like when I was using the flippers, I could like feel my thighs. That was sort of weird.
Yeah, well, so, you know,
like I was learning to walk, but I was flying, but I was learning to walk while I was flying. I mean, that's a strange experience.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, there's this aspect of that. We're also developing our way of being on the earth, and the student with the very strong thighs is very closely connected to the earth, you know, because you don't need strong thighs if you're not connected to the earth. So, so yeah, it is a place of learning to connect with the earth again. But that's something you work on all the time, is connecting with the earth.
Well, actually, I'm real Puritanish. I have 7 planets in air, in my chart. You only have 10 planets, and so I have 7 of them in air. And I'm a real Puritanist. I started reading young when I was in my 20s, so I've been working on grounding for decades. You know, that's all I do because I'm so
You
much
think
air.
consciously you're doing this, or
I
is it just,
consciously work on grounding,
yeah,
you know,
okay.
all the time.
Mhm.
You know, I'm constantly doing that because that saves me.
Mhm. And can
I
you,
would be dead today if I didn't do that.
and here's, let me just mention, you work a lot in maintaining plants, right?
Yeah, I do gardening.
Gardening, and you raise, don't you raise flowers and vegetables and trees?
Yeah, mostly
and
tropical fruit. Yeah,
shrubs?
tropical
Yeah,
fruit.
tropical fruit. Okay, so
I
you're
do
very
like
connected.
yoga, which is like doing different positions with your body to stretch and relax muscles to connect muscles in the body.
Mhm.
That's real grounding.
Yeah. Okay, let's go through this again then. I'm gonna go through one more time, and then Charles, you look like you were doing a very good job of assimilating it. At least your facial expressions are telling me that. But anyway, we're in the place of learning to ground ourselves because Pan's son is there, you know, with his powerful goat thighs. And while we can feel that, even though we're a aware being and we're using the power of unconscious in our spiritual maintenance of the place of learning how to ground ourselves, and yet we're using the spiritual principle to navigate around there along with the unconscious. While we're doing that, we feel the learning taking place because our thighs are starting to respond to the teaching and learning that we've established there. Even though right now we are just the maintenance worker there. Apparently, we're not a student, but just being in that atmosphere is enough to assimilate what can be
Yeah,
learned.
I'm always a maintenance worker, a stock boy in the grocery store, or truck driver, you know, something like that in my dreams.
Yeah, but so you're tending the place of learning. You're tending it, you know. So it's like tending a fire. You're tending the place of learning, grounding, you know, and through you know, this is a very Zen-like way of learning. Okay, instead of sitting there reading a book, you know, you tend the place of learning, grounding, and through just tending it, that you learn all you need to know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what do you think, Charles?
Roy, did you say you were going around cleaning the floors? You said.
I
Or
was
did
sort
I
of
make that
the top maintenance guy, and I had some people working under me, and there was a mess on the floor. I sent some people over to clean it up. It wasn't too bad.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Kind of. I guess what I was thinking was like, and you were above the floor. You're kind of like floating around with like flippers,
Yeah,
swing flippers.
I'm about 5 or 6 feet off the floor,
Oh.
horizontal, you know, with flippers on like you do in snorkeling.
Yeah.
And I was going horizontal, like above the floor, a few feet off the floor, down the halls. It was kind of fun.
Well, I know I love it. I do. I mean, I just always hoping someone sees me because I just feel so euphoric, you know, while I'm doing that. You know, it is have a euphoria about it, you know, and you just wonder, can everybody do this? You know, I mean, that's what I'm kind of wondering. But anyway, I would say that it is. It's just, to me, it's just this wonderful way of learning through tending a place of ground. I mean, how many books do you need to read about learning to ground yourselves? the best way to learn is just to tend the place and to be there. You know, I mean, it's like learning to anyway, it's you had that dream last night or this
Yeah,
night?
last night.
Yeah, wow, that's beautiful. Well, anyway, we've had 3 pretty good dreams. I think Gary's coming back. Gary is, if he doesn't come back, we'll just do a COVID dream, his COVID dream. And I know Tim's got a dream, so we'll, and if worst comes to worst, maybe we can even discuss one of my dreams. But
Oh, yeah,
we'll
that'd be
see.
fun. Let's take
Okay.
a spin with Craig.
Yeah, all right. Well, I have plenty of them. So anyway, well, thank you, Dawn. Your dream was, I think your dream is like I say, all the time we were talking, I felt little, God, this is so important. And when Tim said that we need a dialogue, then I knew that it's just full of unanswered questions. So we need to ask some questions on it. But anyway, and Charles and Roy, thank you very much. And we'll see you next Monday.
I see everybody.
Okay. Bye, guys. See you later.